Morning, everybody. Go ahead and consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt, are you on the phone now? Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And we'll go ahead with our opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and address the board, please do so now. All right, if there's not, are there any commission reports? All right, good morning, Chad. We just went through our public comment. Did you have anything for public comment? Okay, all right. And then there are no commissioner reports. Sherry, how far out is Bill?
15 minutes.
All right.
Do I have Jim on the line?
Is Jim on the line?
Yep.
All right. We'll move on to our regular business. Board discussion and action regarding the 2023 provisional budget. Any discussion amongst the commissioners? Commissioner Schmidt, are you on the line?
I'm on the line.
All right. Anything you wanted to say about the budget?
Not at this time. Let's pass it.
All right. If there's no discussion, I'd consider a motion to approve the provisional budget.
I have to make a correction.
Oh,
I have to
What's the-
change the current property taxes to 15,403,480
from what to what?
from 15,488,704 to 15,403,480
Is that just a,
because the growth
Meh.
was less than what I thought it was.
okay. With that change,
I think we have to make.
Will you repeat that, please?
we need to make the change first,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I would move to make that change.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Repeat the change, please.
The taxes were listed at 15,488,704. I need to change them to 15,403,480.
Thank you for that clarification. Any discussion? Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. All right. Any other discussion or actions to be taken on the provisional budget?
I had a few questions. Did Terry Floyd leave?
No, he's
Jerry's
sitting
right there.
right here.
Behind the podium.
What did you say, Sean?
He's right there.
Oh, okay. Terry, are you still 4 positions short, or where are you at on that? I know that when we went through the budget, you made mention about that, you could start doing monthly checks instead of weekly checks and some of these things, and maybe combine some positions. Are you still 4 people short, or would you only be 3 people short if you did some of this?
No, I am still 4 people short. So one of those positions is the mechanics position, which I need to get reclassified, but we can't do that until the union has a contract, since that position is a contract position or is a union position. So I would have to, so on that position, I gotta jump 2 hurdles. I gotta get the union approval to reclassify that position, and then I need board approval to reclassify that position. So that position is all gonna depend on whenever the union gets their contract. Otherwise, I am still 3 short, 3 other truck drivers short on the crew. We've just went through, in fact, last week we closed on a recruiting process. I reviewed applications. I think we had 13 total. I think we're gonna be doing phone interviews for 8 or 9 of them, or I think, to start off with. But I don't know, like I said, I sent it up to Carissa of the state's attorneys to set those up for us. So I haven't heard anything back yet on that, so, right now, I'm still 3 short, so there are some good candidates.
So Terry, just to clarify, I want to make sure I heard that right. You can't hire the mechanic's position until the union negotiation is complete? Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, so as it's classified right now, it's just, we kind of have it as a garage mechanic. So I want to change that classification to a real mechanic, with schooling and, you know, having some,
Like a diesel mechanic?
correct, yes. So, yep.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or discussion?
I had a question for Sheriff Steve. I think you made mention a year ago that you needed 4 new vehicles and then you'd need 2 per year after that. And I know in your budget this year, you asked for 6 new vehicles. I just was wondering why.
Okay, part of it is we had one wrecked here, it must have been a month ago. It was totaled. So insurance proceeds went back into the general budget, but it's still a vehicle gone. We currently have six vehicles with over 100,000 miles on them. 120, 123, 122, 100, 115, 121, 146. We honestly need probably about 10 cars. But I think we can get by with 4 patrol cars and 1 new jail car.
When you say cars now, are you getting cars or are you getting the Durangos or give me the right term?
So vehicles have been kind of a hot commodity. You can't really get the Charger in well, you can't get the Charger in the all-wheel drive Hemi. So we went to the Durangos. There's some equipment doesn't work in that. We tried to order them last year. There was none available, so we couldn't order those. The Fords have been difficult to get a hold of. We were able to get Chevy Tahoes last year, and it looks like that's what we're gonna be able to get again this year. But they're all the same. Actually, the Chevy Tahoe is cheaper than the Ford Explorer, so they're all about the same.
So basically, these aren't vehicles for the new positions that we've added. I know we added some positions for you this spring, correct?
Right, yeah. So we share cars, so the car pretty much runs 24 hours a day. So it's, yeah, we can, these are not additional cars for staff. They're replacing the cars that are wore out. And it's just, it becomes a safety issue. You know, one of these cars has 187,000 miles on it, 186,000. They start becoming a maintenance nightmare. It's cheaper to, and we're getting incredibly good money for these when we're selling them versus, you know, I don't know how this one with 186,000 will go, but they're bringing double what they used to.
When we do maintenance, who does it for us?
There's 2 vendors we use, well, there's 3. There's one in Lenox, Auto Dynamics on Tallgrass, and there's one right across from the Harrisburg office, D&G or something to that effect, but it's private vendors.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, if I understood correctly, and I think you briefed this like a month and a half ago, basically, another reason for the 6 vehicles is because they're just not being pushed out from the factory, right?
Correct. But, and honestly, we need 6 vehicles, anticipating we're gonna get 2 more this year.
Right.
And those are not here. And I was told, this probably 30 days ago, that we're looking at 90 days. So I don't know that we're gonna get them this year. So I don't know how that would work in the event we don't get those 2 vehicles. Really, 6 would not fix our problems.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from. And, you know, we talked about this, I think, for the last 2 years, is wanting to get the vehicles on a regular schedule. And that would be all nice in a perfect world, but just the COVID and the manufacturing of the vehicles means that these things just can't be produced like they used to be a few years ago. right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah, the first few years was, getting vehicles was not an issue.
right.
Now it's getting, matter of fact, it's kind of gotten worse.
Well, and I saw your new Tahoe this morning sitting out there in the turning lane of Minnesota Avenue by the Harrisburg School turnoff. So, yeah, he was there doing his job and, yeah, looked good. Vehicle looked good.
They do look good, and
Yeah.
it sticks out.
Yeah, it
So,
does.
And visibility is what we want.
Yeah, it's a little different from the gray.
Right.
So, yeah.
Any other questions or action on the provisional budget?
I have none for Steve. I had a question for our auditor. I think when we went through the budget, it's a small item, didn't we say that ARPA funds could be used for funeral costs for those who can't afford funeral costs? And are we doing that then?
We are not doing it. We took our ARPA funds for wages. We've got the $1.9 million that is sitting there that was discussed last week in regards to taking grant applications for it.
Any other questions or discussion? Any action on the provisional budget?
Sherry, I did have one question. This is kind of follow-up from the discussion we had last week, and thank you for the numbers you gave us last week. The one question I forgot to ask was, you had said we've got $11 million in reserve. How much of that will be used to supplement this year's proposed budget?
I'm anticipating leaving the end of the year with $11 million.
Okay.
Just
So you-
because of the fact that that money that I've got in the bank right now does not include the 10 million of ARPA funds, so.
Right, and I think that's important, maybe for the public, maybe for the commissioners, I don't know. We've got $11 million in reserve, and I think when you said it last week, please correct me if I'm wrong, that does not include the 10 million in ARPA funds, right?
Correct, yep, we've got $11 million cash in the bank today, or last week, and then the 10 million ARPA funds.
Okay, thank you.
Sherry, is this correct? We don't have any money in our budget for drainage concerns?
I guess it is, yeah. I didn't do the floodplain budget, but I would have to say that it doesn't look like there's anything set in there for it.
And consider any motions on actions regarding the provisional budget.
Madam Chair, I'd offer a motion to approve the budget with the one change that we did this morning.
Okay, I've got a motion and or I don't have a second. I've got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, further discussion? If not, Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
No?
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, the motion carries. Then we will move into, we need an executive session for union discussion under SDCL 125-2 sub 3. I'd consider a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Chair, I'll move,
I'll second.
and I will be joining you in a minute.
All right, I've got a motion by Commissioner Schmidt, a second by Commissioner Poppins. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt. Commissioner Landine.
Yes. So we'll be in executive session. Thank you. I've got a motion by Commissioner Poppins, a second by Schmidt to come out of executive session. Sean, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Then I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session under SDCL 125 sub 2 and sub 3.
Second.
Got a motion and a second?
Who was the motion for that? I'm sorry.
Aaron's.
Thank you.
May I call the roll?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. Commissioner Aaron's to sign that. All right.
We have two people.
I consider-
offer a motion to come out of executive session.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Sean, will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. Consider a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.